Good afternoon, everybody. This will be presenting to you in a form of English. It's my best Scots English to you today, so hopefully that will be interpreted correctly and for anybody who's listening to any of the interpretations. Okay, the modern business traveller. What is their behaviour? What are their expectations? And really, what's their demands on technology? We see that obviously our private lives and our business environment are increasingly converging, from a technology standpoint. If you can book a short break to Barcelona whilst you're on the train, traveling to work using your smartphone, why can't you do that, from a travel booking concept and consideration in the business environment? Sabre and the GBTA Foundation released some research just last year focusing on the behaviour and the needs of the business traveller. The digital traveller research brings to light many, many themes that are top of the minds for everybody that's involved in the travel industry. However, three main topics were certainly that came top there. Self-service, virtual payments, and a more integrated solution for travel risk management, another component to add to this. In all markets research, the majority of business travellers expected that technology allows greater control over the management of their travel. And here in German-speaking countries, 56% of the results, it's slightly lower perhaps than in other markets, but we can certainly see that technology journey, and we know where that technology journey is heading. So when we talk about self-service, when we talk about mobile technology, and we all know the position of the smartphone as it occupies our lives on an everyday working basis. So in order to embrace that smartphone further, the easiest and most logical way would be to give control to the travellers via an application, an app, as we call it. So you can see from this slide that the situation today is that most companies don't recommend any travel-related mobile apps. They'd rather leave the traveller to sort through the thousands and thousands of options that are available to them. But I see that changing. As travel apps become more corporate focused, with policy controls, with preferred suppliers, with a common driven value, they're more relevant to becoming part of the corporate travel program. Now, another key element is the component around payments, and I think modern methods of payment are certainly becoming more relevant. You look at the e-wallet or the virtual payment options that are available in the marketplace today, and their usage and relevancy is becoming much more widely accepted, and I only see that growing even further. Again, as we use these forms of payment in our personal lives, the interest in corporate applications of these will only increase. Payments are an option that should not be overlooked, when it comes to the booking of travel in a mobile environment. The modern traveller doesn't want to have to worry about payment options, etc. That should be something that's organised in the background so that the friction is basically taken away. So there's a consideration there and an increasing adoption of virtual payment mechanisms as well. And we'll discuss that a little further. And the issue of duty of care. Or traveller security, if you wish to pronounce it that way. It's very important, and it will always be important, I think, for both companies and business travellers alike. It's fair to say that consumers in Europe and customers in Europe, they've perhaps been a little bit sceptical around the disclosure of personal data. However, as you see from some of the information here, there has actually been a significant appetite to share travel information, as long as there are assurances, perhaps, that there are guarantees put in place in regards to how that data is actually used. And even here in German-speaking countries, nearly 2/3 of travellers would allow their employers to track their location via GPS, to ensure their travel security. Added to that, the components that corporate travel continues to evolve at an increasingly rapid pace. You only have to look around this exhibition this week to see the number of new sort of providers, etc., that we call this wonderful world of travel. And we as travellers and travel professionals are constantly being introduced to that new technology, and technology that improves our productivity or our methods of communication, or even indeed our collaboration with partners or with ourselves. Although this technology, and specifically mobile technology, has made our lives easier in many ways, it's certainly shifted expectations within the corporate travel space. I've been in a sales environment. I mean, I now see a mobile sort of component and a mobile discussion in every single RFP that I receive across my desk. Self-service technology, absolutely, it's essential now. That consumer-grade user experience, it's no longer a nice-to-have, it's a must-have. And that instant access to relevant information and services is somewhat expected in the corporate travel market. Now we're adding another certain dynamic into this, and that's an age dynamic to this. So we're bringing this sort of concept and the whole consideration around the millennial traveler. And as you see here, the whole shopping and booking contribution to this is certainly shifting within the mobile environment, and it's certainly amongst the millennials. You see there that shopping from an air perspective, so this is actually just shopping, this is not necessarily booking, but shopping in an air perspective, we see the survey results 55% just in general, but that grew to 79% within that sector of millennials that were actually interviewed during the process. And then from the booking perspective within air, 20% only just in the general sort of audience, but that was actually 27% across the millennial age gap. And you see the same trends there in regards to the shopping and booking from a hotel perspective. Another consideration is this whole in-transit component. It's particularly relevant this week when we're talking about travel disruption, etc. So when it's relevant, when the traveller needs to be sort of making changes, etc., to their particular reservation. We see a very much growing demand and increase in regards to using a mobile application to actually facilitate those changes rather than the traditional calling to your TMC or back to your home office or to your PA or EA, whatever it might be. So seeing very much, those in-transit changes are becoming a lot more common and a lot more popular. Other challenges I think that the corporate travel market is facing, again, I made reference to, but it's certainly the rapid pace of technology and innovation. And it's shifted really the way that people travel, but it's largely shifted the way businesses are now needing to manage those corporate travel programs. Now listen, there's a lot more people involved in that whole decision around booking and arranging travel. You've got your travel management, within companies. You've also got legal involved, finance, HR, procurement, risk management, business unit managers, and of course the travelers themselves. There's a lot of people there to keep happy. You also, quite understandably, there's different objectives, different program objectives across those different stakeholders as well, and different strategies that are trying to sort of evolve that. So this is a very, very complicated, process in regards to how to actually go about procuring, the best corporate travel solution that you would need today. This was a rather interesting component that came from the findings as well, and really the one component that I wanted to sort of show here. I mean, these are the top 5 top strategic objectives that all the travel managers interviewed during this process brought back, and you can see the information there. But from a top technological point of view, 77% of the respondents said that a mobile functionality or a mobile component to their travel program was important. That was one of their top technological priorities. And so certainly we've taken that on board. So today's digital business traveler is a completely new profile and a perhaps evolving profile of a traveler that we certainly need to consider and we need to accept. When traveling on business, we expect much more convenience, control, self-service as that we have for our private holidays and for our private travel. We're almost permanently online, looking around the room, and we also communicate via different channels today as well. We're using Messenger, text messaging, and all these sorts of things, and it's all done via smartphone. The access, I think, if I remember rightly, to the internet, I think, is set to grow to 70% from mobile devices. That's the whole internet access globally is now growing to 70%. So the smartphone is not going to go away. I think maybe some of us would like it to, but it never will. Now, Sabre has taken on board a lot of these findings, and we've implemented a lot of these trends and expectations into what we now define as a new travel experience platform. Meeting the traveller's expectations paired with the challenges that corporations face and we've delivered a solution and a service called the Traveller Experience Platform. Let me just break that down just a little bit for you. Fundamentally, 5 different components that are integrated that you must consider, I think, important in regards to a corporate travel program. Those being the booking process, so not just the offline components and everything else, but anything that's made from an online booking sort of, point of view and consideration. And as a Sabre product and as a Sabre development, etc., we're talking here about Get There, which is our global online booking tool technology. You're also integrating that into an itinerary and a messaging service as well. That, again, through our Sabre technology is a product that we have called TripCase, available in the App Store if you wish to download. And integrating that also, from a duty of care perspective. We talked about that and being able to share that information. And we have an integrated solution, again, that we've created, and it's all part and parcel of this whole technology. Payment mechanisms. We actually have a virtual payment mechanism that's available as you go through the whole booking process, and that it also then provides a rendered copy of a virtual card to the traveller in one application. So this is the consideration. And from an expense point of view, it will integrate with an expense provider that you necessarily want to, and develop that for you. So very much, those 5 different components, this solution, the platform, I liken it to my own specific experience. I'm a great Apple user. I have an Apple Watch and an Apple phone and Apple television, etc. They all talk to each other. They all share a little bit of information and give me, as the user, the sort of best experience that I want to get from the technology. And very much that's where we've taken the Traveller Experience Platform. It's basically a sharing of information from booking to mobile itineraries to virtual payments, etc., and mashing them all together into one solution. So your travellers only ever need to have effectively one application. They don't need to have thousands of apps on their telephone or on their smart device, etc., any longer. So it's flexible because there's components around this that you can unbundle and you can bolt in. So that's got to give you the flexibility to meet your particular requirements. It's very much certainly built to last because it has to evolve as new technology, etc., and as new components become critical to a corporate business travel program. And really, from a priorities perspective, we are continuing to invest in this and really to sort of deliver modern and innovative travel technology. If you haven't had the chance to, do drop by our Sabre TN stand across in Hall 5, where we've got a number of our colleagues from our Sabre Labs team with us this week, looking at the robotics and a lot of the virtual sort of components, and who knows where that will take us, in the next few years, and how much of that will be involved in a modern corporate travel program. So, if you would grace me just a few more minutes, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to toggle out of this into the internet, and I'm going to introduce you to... Okay, that's not moving. Would there be a reason why that's not now going to the projector? Sorry, folks, bear with me. Technical challenge. Yes, there we go. We've got it. User error. Not a technical challenge, it's a user error. I do apologize. Grace me just a few more minutes with you, and I'll basically walk you through the integrated platform. So this is very much a demonstration model, etc. So if you haven't seen TripCase, which is our mobile itinerary application, which we refer to, this is effectively what it looks like on your smartphone. So you see here that I'm going to be Fiona for the next few minutes, and I'm a corporate business traveller, and I'm very much, in the frame of mind of using technology and being able to use that to sort of best suit me as an individual. You'll see here that within my own profile, within my own portfolio of travel that I have booked here, I have a business trip, but I can also store information regarding any personal travel, etc. Now, you'll notice that the personal travel is not labeled as business, so therefore it's not being shared within the rest of the platform. That's my own private information, so I'm not sharing that. They're just keeping me in an understanding so that when I book travel that I know that I don't clash with any of my personal travel dates. But I'm Fiona, I'm sitting at home at the weekend, and I've just remembered I need to book a travel event for next week. Now, It's the weekend, so the options that I could do, I could open my laptop and I could, bring up the online booking tool to make that reservation, or I could call it the travel service, our travel provider. But on the weekend, that's going to incur an out-of-hours service charge, etc. So I wonder if there's a better way. Well, indeed there is. So I come here, and I'm actually within Tripcase. And if I click on this little plus button, up pops Book a Trip. And if I click on that, that deep links me back into Get There, into the online booking tool that is now effectively customized and set up specifically for my company. So I'm now working for ABC Company. So I now then start the booking process. And I'm sure a number of you will have used an online booking tool, and you'll see that this is all rendered and responsively designed to sort of give you the look and feel from a mobile device. So as I start then, filling out this booking process, etc., all of the information that's built in behind this regarding our company travel policy, our preferred suppliers, etc., that's all controlled within the technology that I'm having access to. So my travel management, my travel manager has the confidence that as I'm booking this, they will see that I'm actually booking within policy, etc. So there we go. I mean, I'm not going to go through, but I'm going to click on search and just take you through. I'm quite sure you've all seen how to book travel, etc. So I'm just working through the process here. You'll notice here that at the top of the slide, I have a little progress check, so it's telling me exactly where I am in the search function. I'm going to then select my return journey that I'm looking for as well. Like any good online booking tool should do, it should also bring back lower option fares, etc. So my fare here that I've selected, $358. And as we scroll down, there are lower fare options available to me. So I'm a good corporate citizen. I want to save the company money. So I'll choose a lower fare option. And it brings up, you'll see here that you see the information here on the sliding bar here. You see the departure point, where the layover is, and this little icon here sort of shows you how long the layover is. So very visual and very comfortable for the traveler to use. I want to select this flight. I go through the process of choosing my seating application, etc. We'll go through this. This is a little bit cumbersome because we've got 3 flights to choose from. But we go through that process, and this is again a function that's available across any of the airlines, etc., that provide seating maps, etc., as well. I may have my corporate loyalty program built into this, so I may have a certain status, with that particular airline, so it actually waives any fees, etc., that some of the airlines charge you for choosing your seats, etc. So I've done the air function, the air search, that's done and dusted. I need to rent a car during this particular trip as well. So again, just as you would normally, sort of going through the booking process, it pulls through the information of where you need the vehicle, the dates, etc. that you require. It's pulling it through from the original search function. And again, just to reiterate, all confirmed and detailed, etc., behind that with regards to your preferences, your company preferences, and the like. So you're not booking off policy here. You're booking very much within policy. So again, I go into the car search functionality, and there's all the different various providers, etc., that are available. But we'll just pick the top one because it's the company preferred. Thank you very much indeed. It's relatively cheap. It gives me a breakdown of what the car vehicle is and it includes, etc. We'll select that. And now I'm at the final stage where I now need to review and before doing the checkout. So all of the different options, etc. there. My flight details with a breakdown of the costs, etc. There's my car rental details, etc. with an estimated cost, because obviously there are associated costs with car rentals that might not be included, such as your fuel. And where these little cassettes are closed off, it basically means that you're ready to go, that you don't need to input any more information, etc. There's your estimated trip purchase, total costs, etc. So when I purchase trip, booking successful, I click out there, I'm now back in Tripcase. I've made my reservation, I'm now back in Tripcase, and there's the trip that I've now just booked. So all now relevant within that one mobile application. I haven't had to go and sign in anywhere or do anything else. It's all contained within that process. Just to confirm, those were the flights, etc., that we originally booked going through the process. Oh, but my goodness, I need a hotel. I need an overnight here, and I've forgotten to book a hotel during the original search. Fiona, relax. It's fine. We've got this under control. Again, go back to the plus button here, and we just need to sort of punch on the book a hotel function. That looked relatively simple there, and let me just detail a little bit further. Now, this is a deep integration back into Get There. Fiona, as the user, doesn't have to re-input the destination or the search features or the dates, etc., because that's already pulling it through from the original request. So instantly, she doesn't have to input any more of that information, and she effectively has the hotel search function available to her. Company preferred options here as well, that she knows exactly where she wants to stay, so she's comfortable using this property. Some information relevant to the hotel and the corporate rates, etc., that it might provide. Telephone numbers, contact details, all that good information. And as we do with air content, car rental content, and our hotel content as well, it's not just the content that we pull back through the GDS, or the Global Distribution System. You see there that there's a number of hotel aggregators that we have access to and pull that content in. And I think that's an important element when you have a lot of hotel leakage in your corporate program, because that captures all of these users who might want to go off and use Expedia.com or Booking.com. That content's available in Get There, so there's no need for your travelers to go off program. Cancellation policy is provided to the travelers so that they have no excuse to not understand and know when the policy is provided to them. So thank you very much. I'll book that hotel. I'm now back on the review and checkout page for my hotel function. And we scroll through, just making sure that all the relevant components are suitable for me. Again, all of these cassettes are closed, so we know that all the information that I require to book that and everything else is correct. So I click on the purchase trip, click on here, and I'm now back in Tripcase. That hotel piece has now been added to my itinerary. So I now have a flow of an itinerary from flight to hotel to car booking, etc., etc. We talked a little bit during the presentation about modern methods of payment, etc. And one of the methods of payment, I didn't show you that in regards to the booking process there, but we used a virtual payment process, a virtual payment card to actually make the reservation for this hotel. How many people have actually gone to a hotel, perhaps using a virtual payment mechanism, and arrived at the hotel, and the hotel reception have basically advised you that they don't have your reservation, or they're asking you for more credit card details? I'm not sure. It's happened to me a couple of times where it's not been available to me. Within the same application, and because this reservation was used using a virtual payment card process, I basically get a rendered copy of that virtual card, which is only valid for that one transaction. I actually have that information valid to me in my one single Tripcase application. Beauty of that is I can then fax that. I can show it to reception and so that they can take the details, but I could actually then fax or email that direct from my smartphone as I'm standing there at the hotel. Oh, there's been an alert. I'm in LAX, so what is it? It's an earthquake. That's probably quite frequently happening in LA. But in this instance, and this is bringing in this duty of care, safety and security component here. And this is all part and parcel. It's capturing all of that information that I've created within my itinerary. That's all being centrally sort of housed. And when we get an alert from a third-party security provider that alerts us on events that are happening on a global basis, that's then scrutinizing, and the robotics works through all of the trip data, etc., and it alerts us to which travelers may be impacted. We then get validation and confirmation from the company to send them the alert, and this is what happens. So this is actually in the application. You get an alert that comes through to you in the application. You'll also get sent an email. You'll also get sent a text message, because let's remember there may be certain situations where a Wi-Fi or a mobile signal might not be available. And in this instance, Fiona is in trouble. She needs a little bit of help. So she clicks on the I need assistance toggle here. She then shares her location. So only at this point is she sharing her location. She's sharing her GPS location, because she might not be in the hotel that she was booked in. She might be in a Starbucks or something like that down the street. So at this point, she then is able to share her location. She then clicks on the check-in button. She's saying she needs an assistance, and then she was checking that update status, etc., is then sent back to her travel security team, to her travel manager, and they're then there to then take on that assistance and support that. The beauty with SafePoint as a management user as well, there's actually a nice, sort of very clean dashboard that's available to them, so that they can then see who's checked in, who's not checked in, so that they can then use that alerts, etc., to respond to their travelers, etc., as well. So if memory serves me correctly, and if I come here, I then have the option within all of this to cancel the entire booking. So again, I'm not having to go anywhere here. I'm not having to go out. I'm not having to call my travel agency service or whatever else. I can cancel that whole booking. Thank you very much. Remove it from Tripcase. Oops. Remove from trip case. All done. I'm now back to where we started a few minutes ago. So that's us now effectively gone through that entire process in one application. We've booked travel. We have all that information within the mobile itinerary device. We've used this, an integrated virtual payment mechanism to make the payment of the hotel simple and straightforward for the end user. We've alerted the traveller when there has been a situation to respond to. The only component that I haven't touched on there in regards to is our integration with expense management. But within TripCase, you can take photographs of all your receipts whilst you're on trip. It then saves that as a PDF. You can then send that to your expense provider. It then creates the expense lines in your nominated expense provider. So again, highlighting and taking that. So again, all from the same app. You're not needing to have a separate application in order to sort of support your travellers. So ladies and gents, that's it. That's my overview. But I would welcome any questions. I think I'm also going to be hanging around at the lounge around here if anybody has any questions, etc. for me. But thank you very much.